Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast. I'm your host. We're diving right into it, Patrick Lyons, and joining me today is a very special guest, Denver stand-up comedy legend in his own right, Adam Cayton-Holland.
Wow, thank you so much. Good. Hi, am I close to the mic? Is that working? We feeling it? Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're you got some shows coming up, so we'll plug those away. High Plains Comedy Festival and talk about the Denver comedy scene. But yeah, I was thinking about how I was going to introduce you because you have a very long resume between tragedy plus time.
Sure, yeah.
A tragic comedy memoir.
Yep.
We could touch on that. The Grawlix 3-season run on TruTV.
Sure.
Are you getting embarrassed yet? Founder of the High Plains Comedy Festival, and maybe most importantly, your biggest thing on your resume, you did throw out a first pitch once in 2014.
I did. I threw out a strike at a Colorado Rockies game in 2014 after browbeating them on Twitter for 2.5 years, 3 years, just guilting them into making and allowing me to do it.
Did you get the StatCast information on that first pitch?
No, but I mean, there's a lot of people who think it hit 3 figures.
Wow. Yeah, they're trying to hold that information back.
Yeah.
That's a shame. They shouldn't do that.
For scouting purposes.
Since hashtag ACH first pitch got you to have the first pitch in 2014, have you thought about a new hashtag for the organization or for the Rockies right now?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? What do you want to move?
I got it. It's sell the franchise is the hashtag.
Okay.
Sell the franchise. That's the new hashtag.
Yeah, times are very hard right now. Of course.
I don't envy you being the host of a Rockies podcast right now.
Sure.
It's really rough.
Yeah, well, the key is you just have on like amazing guests that distract from the season.
Got it.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
Fair enough. Comedy, things I've done.
Laughter.
Don't bring it
yes.
to the Rockies. Understood.
No, you've been a lifelong fan because you are from Denver.
I am. I'm born and raised here and was a big Rockies fan. Dad was a longtime season ticket holder, and yeah, I remember Denver before Major League Baseball. So we were the Rockies game, of course.
Yeah, Denver Zephyrs weren't too bad. You had gone to some Zephyrs games? I think, right? Yeah.
My neighbor at my garage, I was outside my garage the other day, and he's like looking in there. I had a Zephyrs pennant, and he's like, "What are the Denver Zephyrs?" And I was like, "Oh man, they fed into Milwaukee. They were I used to go to Denver Zephyrs game. In fact, little known fact, I threw out a pitch at a Denver Zephyrs game.
Wait. So you might be one of the only people to ever throw a first pitch out at a Zephyrs. And let me
That's
update this resume.
I've
Rockies
never
and
thought
Zephyrs.
about that. Yeah, I've just kind of remembered that. It was a teacher of mine worked for the Zephyrs in some small capacity, and I was a big baseball fan, so my parents convinced her to make that happen for my birthday when I was maybe 11 or something like that. So yeah, I've thrown out a first pitch at the Zephyrs game, and I've thrown out a Rockies first pitch. I just realized that. I just remembered that.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then when they're the Montreal Rockies in a couple weeks, no, they're not moving anywhere. They're doing good business. Business. We're not talking baseball.
They're doing good numbers financially.
Yes. Were you at the first game at Mile High for the Rockies?
100%. Yeah.
All right.
Eric Young hitting that home run first at bat, of course. Yeah, everybody. That's a rite of passage. I think what was like 90,000 people were there, they said, but I bet it.
Anonymous surveys, like people that were at game 163. That one is like I think it's around 400,000 people.
I was at that one too.
You were? Okay.
Absolutely.
At 400,001.
Yes, thank you.
There we go. No, that makes a lot of sense. Did you ever go down to Colorado Springs to go to Sky Sox games?
I've been to one Sky Sox game back in the day.
Yeah.
That stadium was a mess. The wind down there was just, I felt bad for any pitcher trying to like make it from there because that was a rough stadium to pitch in. And
it didn't face the mountains.
No.
You couldn't see it. It was just a residential area behind it. I was actually just talking with Corey Sullivan from 2007
Sure, yeah.
Over the weekend about what that ballpark was like. And he said the outfield sloped down to the fence. So he said if the center fielder was like, had his hands on his knees and squatted down, the pitcher couldn't even see him. Like the catcher could not see the center field. I was like, oh my God.
That's so little league,
It is.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not even on the minor league rung. That's part of it. Because like teams would have to fly into Denver and then take a bus down.
Yeah.
And it just became like, the airport, I guess, kind of maybe fell on harder times. There just were less flights. So it was just out.
I hear you. I think that's a good move.
No, but no first pitch up for them?
No Sky Sox first pitch.
All right,
or the Grand Junction Rockies, none of it.
We need to get you vibes at least.
I would love a vibe. I'll throw out a first pitch anywhere. I will travel to do that. That's a fun experience. It's just being down on the field and watching the players warm up and taking the mound. That's a blast. as a non-athlete, I never get to do that.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I'll throw out a first pitch anywhere.
Well, if you have any dates in Manitou Springs, perhaps it might be something worth checking out.
I do. I'm there May 19th. Let's get it. Make it happen. Somebody out there, do it.
What's the vibe or the take on Manitou Springs? It's the Colorado Springs version of Boulder.
Yeah, it's like if you need a rattlesnake skin wallet and some turquoise belt buckles, that's the place to go.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
It's like Colorado Springs, but hippie, more liberal. It's just a spiritual place.
It's Little Netherland. It's got that kind of
Totally.
vibe
But there's actually all these old motels, and it used to be sort of a destination for just entertainment. So all these motels have very cool theaters in them. So the one I'm performing at's Lulu's upstairs or something like that. But they're really, you go in there and it's just like a time capsule from like the 60s kind of Rat Pack looking cool rooms. There's some cool stuff down there.
Yeah. That's a neat spot. I've like kind of only gone down there for the incline. Have you ever done the incline?
No, but we're going, I do this podcast with my friends, the Grawlix, and we're doing that as a challenge on the day of our show.
Before or after the show?
Before.
Ooh,
How'd you do? Did you
know.
do the Manitou Incline? Did you make it?
I think I've only done it once, actually. I've planned to do it multiple times, but yeah, made it up.
You made it?
It was fine. Yeah.
Okay. I've never done it, so I'm going to try to do it before a show. The hubris of this guy.
Yeah, it's one where you don't want to like fully lock your knees because you'll feel like you're going to go backwards. You don't want to look down because you will see you'll see the curvature of the earth a little bit, but you'll see the curvature of the trail, and you're like, I'm just going down.
Yeah,
There's nothing that's going to stop you.
Oof, that's already.
So you just got to go.
Anxiety.
Yeah. Just kind of stay like hunched and leaning forward.
Okay,
and
hunched
you'll be okay.
and
Like
leaning
if
forward.
you fall forward, you're fine.
Yeah.
Falling backwards, not so much.
Good to know.
I haven't heard anybody dying on it, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, they let people do it, so I imagine not a huge amount of folks die, but we'll see. May 19th, come
Fingers crossed.
see if I
maybe.
show up to the show.
Yeah. You don't have to sign a waiver, so I think that's probably a good indicator
Right,
in general.
right.
As a lifelong Rockies fan, Larry Walker getting into the Hall of Fame, did that feel like some kind of justification or some kind of acknowledgement from baseball as a whole? Like, we're a real team now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like, you know, we can get more into it, but I'm currently very mad at the Rockies, and I've stopped spending my money there.
Yeah.
Like that's how I'm showing my anger. And my dad, who was a lifetime season ticket holder from the jump, he gave them up a couple years ago after the Nolan trade.
Really?
So we were done. We were done giving them our money. But he and I went and bought tickets to the Larry Walker induction game because that means something. That was exactly as you said, a legitimization of like, okay, your stats aren't just padded with altitude. It helped that Larry Walker had such a good career after as well.
Yeah.
But no, that was huge, and like Helton will be huge. So yes, I think these are exceptional baseball players who would have been Hall of Famers anywhere they went.
You would find this interesting is that, so, you know, sitting in the press box, kind of paying attention to everything, trying to slow it down to watch. They've got the video on the board. Everyone's watching the video of his career and everything. And who sidles up to the podium? Dick Monfort.
Oh.
He gets in his quick 2 sentences and then passes it off. I think it was to Drew Goodman. I was like, well played. Well played.
It's so astute that you noticed that because also he did not get an announcement. No one came. No, Drew Goodman didn't say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Monfort," because he knew he'd be cascaded with booze.
Yeah.
So he snuck in with unannounced, said his 2 words, and then dipped. Like, if that doesn't tell you everything about how people feel about the ownership of the Rockies in this city, that the guy can't even have his name announced because he knows he'll get booed.
Yeah. And how he feels about the team, I think, in a little bit. And not the players exactly or the roster, but you know, he did say in Greeley, I was there for the hey, if
let's
all
try to
goes
get
well,
500.
If we have a career year out of all 26 guys on our roster, we might be able to be 500. After that quote, he did say afterwards that, you know, he didn't go down and take his seats behind the dugout a lot last year because, you know, he was a little frustrated, disappointed about it. And I've kind of noticed he hasn't been taking his seats this year so far at home.
Yeah, well, they're charging towards 100 losses. I don't think I'd sit there either, especially if I wasn't doing a damn thing about it.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of it for him is pride, because the organization definitely prides itself on having never lost 100 games. Like, yeah, that's cool. But also, you don't need to spend, an additional $20 million in the offseason to try to avoid losing 100 games and you're signing guys 2 weeks before opening day starts. Just take your punches. It's fine.
Yeah, I agree. But I do think there is, there's like a cowardice there and there's like this ineptitude. There's no plan. There's no plan whatsoever. And so I don't think this guy's playing 6-dimensional chess and doing something we don't know about. Like, I think it's just like, I don't have a plan. This is a cash cow for me. And go ahead, hate me. I'm getting rich. I'm building McGregor Squares. I own all the bars down there. My family will be rich off this forever. And thanks for drinking at our bar with a baseball team.
Somebody should gift him a Rockies jersey with the 93 on it for their inaugural season. It just says, "He hate me" on the back. Be like, "Here you go, Dick. Here's a gift from the fans to you."
That's
and
great.
If you put that on, you'd go, "All right, you know what? We'll give you some. There's a ball. There's a ball on the count.
Totally.
Now it's a little bit more of a hitter's count for you. We'll give you credit. You can laugh at yourself.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. Like, at least be knowledgeable. But just be, hey, I'm just getting rich. Sorry that you fell in love with this team.
Again, being at a Denverite your entire life. Do you think we've hit a tipping point as far as people moving to Denver? I know there's been some reports where there's more people leaving than not. And so this kind of recession proof that the Rockies have been, because I just assumed, you could roll out a 100-loss team and you're still going to get a ton of people. They will. It might be under 30,000 on average, but it'll still be maybe 18th best in all of baseball. Do you think we could be approaching something like that where, hey, you know what? There's not as many out-of-towners moving in to come see the Cubs, to go see the Mets and the Cardinals?
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, the numbers this season have been really low already, right?
Yeah.
And we're just one day out of April. So, I mean, if they keep being this crappy, like obviously you open up the party deck and the 20-year-old tech bros want to party, but that can't be a sustainable business model. And like people like me, I'll go to one game this season with my kids so they can have Dippin' Dots and experience baseball.
Dinger.
Yeah, for sure.
They can call for him. You can't.
Well, my kid was the guy that tackled Dinger. No, just kidding. But like guys like me are just not giving the money to him anymore. So it's like, and that's going to bleed off. Like my sons will not be as into baseball because dad didn't take them to as many games because this team was so infuriating. So like now you're looking at the next generation cooling on it when baseball as a sport's not is hurting for fans. So I think like I'm just on my high horse here, but it's like that's why MLB needs to intervene, because like this franchise is going to ruin the sport of baseball for the Mountain West. And if you're the MLB, you're like, goo, we kind of want that market, you know?
You are 100% accurate, because I actually wanted to start off by breaking the news. It's not breaking, but Rockies are going to be playing the Mexico City series next year.
Oh, wow.
Against the Houston Astros.
Okay.
So going back, they're the first team to play a game outside of the U.S. or Canada in the regular season back in 1999. Vinny Castillo was there. So that's really neat.
I'll go to that one.
Yeah.
yeah. I'll go to that one.
Not as much money is being filtered through the Monforts.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give that to some
game.
Mexican baseball owner.
Yeah. And so that's, again, with baseball growing and everything MLB is trying to do with the World Baseball Classic, everybody, to a man when I talked to them about the World Baseball Classic, they would say, I forgot how great baseball is. I forgot how much I love baseball. And they forgot because they've got the Rockies to root for. And that's kind of taken that love away from them of like, I'm almost swearing off the whole sport in a sense.
It really is. Like I'm really good friends with Tyler Mon from the, Purple Road and or the Purple Dinosaur podcast. And he and I were talking, and like he does that. He goes and covers those games. Yeah. And I'm so envious. I just see on his Instagram, I'm like, oh, dude, there's baseball. I do love baseball. I've just been made to sort of just hate it because of the terrible example of it going on here. And it is very personal because this is like, I want to root for this team. This is my team. The Rockies will always be my team. I'm a Denverite, through and through. But to just like trot out this terrible product again and again and again, have no plan, refuse to destroy it to build it back up, refuse to draft and develop, just to do nothing year after year. At some point, you're like, well, if you know baseball, you're dumb for rooting for this team because they're not doing baseball.
Yeah.
They're doing cash grab. So like I am lucky I tour for comedy, And I'll go to St. Louis and I'll go to Milwaukee and I'll go to these full stadiums with knowledgeable fans who get rewarded with ownership that tries. And I'm just like, oh, there it is. I love this game. And they're ruining that here in Denver. And it's like really sad, especially when you got such good other sports going on in the city. It's like who in the right mind gives a shit about the Rockies right now when the Nuggets and the Avalanche are out as of last night, but there's so much better capable sports going on. Even the Broncos in this shitty run over the past 6 years are always trying things. They're never it's never stagnant.
Complacent.
Right.
They're not complacent.
And so like the complacency of the Rockies is kind of like, oh yeah, I think Denver's got 3 sports teams, 4 if you count the Avalanche and all that. But like of the big 4, there's 3 trying. And there's one that unashamedly is going for your money. And I say don't give it to them.
Yeah. Would you put the Rockies 4th on the pecking order right now?
Oh, absolutely.
That's probably a first time that they've
been I think so.
I mean, they've never been number 1.
No.
They never will be.
I would argue they've been above the
periods.
Avalanche and the Nuggets for a long time.
And they've been number 2 even when they weren't even that good, but it was still, again, it's Coors Field, it's baseball, so they were number 2 maybe even when they didn't deserve it, but now they definitely don't, and that's why they are number 4.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's always a Broncos town. They'll always be number 1. Even when they're the worst, they'll be the number 1. It's just a Broncos city. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I think they're 4th, and a distant 4th with these teams that are really doing an excellent job of competing versus one who's not trying. So yeah. I mean, I like I said, I hate to come on and just be like, there it is, everyone. But like, I am a lifelong Rockies fan, a guy who honestly kind of watched what he said about them in public because I wanted to have a cool relationship with them. I wanted to throw out a first pitch, and for several years I did. They let me do things. But now I'm just like, I feel like if you really love the team, just talk honestly about how awful they're doing and how the owner's doing nothing, because I do love the team and I want them to succeed, and this is not going to happen. Maybe every couple of years we'll have a fluke good season where we sniff the playoffs and get eliminated in the first round, but there's no cognizant formula going on of winning baseball.
Well, I think we had maybe even talked 2 or 3 years ago of like, hey, Adam, love to have you on Talk Rockies. And you basically said that like, now's not a great time because I've got some emotions and I don't want to ruin this potential relationship or whatever. And like you said, now it's the point where it's like, I don't want to be associated with you guys. Yeah, I
mean, I would love to because they're my team. And if they're great in September, I'll be right there. But I just like don't see it happening. And you know the sport. When they brought Bill Schmidt up to be the GM, I remember thinking, this is the test. You've been doing this for a long time. Please, please, please get someone from outside the organization. It's clear in the 30 years we've been doing this, you've never won a World Series. You've been in the playoff 5 times. That's not a good amount. So get somebody from outside the organization who can have, may not be drinking the Kool-Aid and can have just a really cold, clinical view of like, how do I fix the Rockies? And when they just brought in the dude who's probably fine and great, but whatever, it just showed to the fans and the knowledgeable baseball people, oh, we don't care. We want people who are yes men to the big cheese up top, and that's what we're going to do. And so that for me was the one that broke me. I was like, they don't even care. They do not even care enough to try a different approach to this.
It wasn't a commitment to competition. It was a commitment to complacency.
I think I think you said it perfectly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel like this is a boring podcast because I'm just like ranting about how mad I am. But I do just think that's where I'm at. And I don't really, like you said, a couple years ago, I was like, I'd like to be political with these guys because they've let me do a few things and it's cool to have a relationship with a sports team in your town.
Yeah.
But if you love them and they are, I love the Nuggets. I'm open for business. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, we're gonna have to link you up with the American Raptors. If you want a team here in town, it's a rugby team down in Glendale, Infinity Park.
That's right.
And there's some baseball players there, big dudes. Like they're learning the sport. I kind of like compare it to the bobsled. Like no kid grows up in a bobsled league.
Sure.
You learn it. You're an athlete, and then you learn the sport, and that's what these guys are doing with the American Raptors. You can go to AmericanRaptors.com and
that's cool.
Watch some of their games stream for free, which is great. Yeah. They got really good price tickets. We got a DNVR Rugby podcast hosted by Colton Strickler. So you can learn things all about that. When you go out to those games, sunscreen, you need to have that on. You need to be wearing your Shady Rays as well. Kick off the start to summer. I mean, it's still spring, but it almost feels like summer compared to what we just got out of. One of the gloomiest winters you've ever experienced, would you say?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But as a guy who's got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old has to apply sunscreen, I'm not minding the gloom anymore. Like, it's all right. It's all right.
You guys are like, looking at real estate in Seattle maybe for a summer home?
I mean, you're not far off. And as any local says, we need the moisture. More snow, more rain. We need the moisture.
We do. And we need Shady Rays in our life. You buy one, you get one free when you use promo code DNVR. You can go down to the Park Meadows Mall.
That was seamless.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you ever need like a co-host to kick it out to the Grawlix Saves the World podcast, I'm for hire. I'm for hire. We can do that.
Most just effortless ad read I've seen in a long time.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get a little kiosk at the Park Meadows Mall, where you can actually go to Shady Rays, try some on, see if you like it. If you buy 2 or more pairs of polarized glasses, you get 50% off that. And you know what? If you lose or break your glasses, they'll hook you up. They've got a lost and broken replacement policy, which is absolutely amazing. And you can return within 30 days. So if you don't like it, how it fits your face, you can take care of that. Shady Rays, use code DNVR. That's fantastic. That's how we do it around here at the Segways. So yeah, one of the questions I was going to ask, and you kind of touched on it. I'm okay. We don't need to jump off this train necessarily.
Okay. All right.
Well, I still want to talk plenty about stand-up comedy, the High Plains
No,
Festival.
I love this train. I just want to make sure I'm not trotting into stuff that you have talked about ad nauseum and boring your listeners and all that. So,
well, I'm not gonna say we avoid it, but we try to focus on the fun things because there are moments to hit it and go, man, this is like a really bad moment, and people will appreciate that, and other times they don't want to hear that all the time. So we still find a way to have fun.
I'm also really good friends with this musician, John Snodgrass.
Who's great.
Yeah. And he's like the most positive dude.
He is.
and I will bitch to him because he's a diehard Rockies fan. And I still am a diehard Rockies fan. And that's why I get so mad. But he's always like, the players are great. These are young guys. They're in the minors. They make their way to the majors and they land at the Rockies. And that's awesome. Let's go root for those guys. Yeah. And I'm like, buddy, what a great view. You have the best world view ever. I'm not as positive as you are, but that is very true. It's not these dudes' fault. They're exciting players. There's exciting storylines. I root for all of these guys. Not like, fuck you, individual second baseman. It's more like a clinical, institutional thing that I'm upset at. So yes, there's great stories to be had and interesting players to watch.
Yeah, John, speaking of rooting for guys even before they're Rockies, I think he was just on. I'll plug another podcast, Blake Street Banner. Love those guys over there. They cover the minor leagues, and Aaron and Tyler and all those guys, they do an amazing job. But as a father now, I have to ask, are you raising your boys to be Rockies fans?
They have, my son now wears my Rockies cap. So like that is the cap he's wearing. But the youngest one, we have a Rockies Nolan Arenado shirt, and he wears that all the time. And I feel like that's the perfect shirt to wear around town. It's like I'm aware, I'm angry, and I'm still supporting. So he's got his little Nolan Rockies shirt that he wears a lot.
So parents sometimes will like to dress their kids in like a Violent Femmes t-shirt or a Pixies shirt.
Yeah.
You got them rocking the Arenado hipster throwback jersey.
Exactly, and I feel like it's a good look. People go up to him like, name 3 songs about Arenado.
Name a year he won the Gold Glove. All of them.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That didn't help. I wanted to ask you about traveling and touring for comedy, going to a lot of different cities, and sometimes you're just in and out. You get to see a lot of ballparks. How does Coors Field, at least from the outside, stand up? Because you get inside, it's still really beautiful, but like on the outside, when you go to other cities, is Coors Field still just like this mecca where you go by and you say, I want to get in that building?
Yeah, I think so. And it like really benefits by being so downtown.
Yeah.
A lot of stadiums are just not downtown. So yeah, Coors still has that allure for sure. I mean, one of my favorites is Camden Yards, which is the same architect.
Yep.
And so yeah, I've always thought Coors is beautiful. I mean, that's part of the reason why it's so successful. It's a really pretty, comfortable, great stadium with a great view. There's no knocking that for sure.
Yeah, that's the spot where if you're going to Colorado, you're going to Denver, check the schedule. Should we go see a game there? I don't really care who's playing.
Yeah.
One of the teams might be good.
A lot of my comedy friends try to come through and like go see a Rockies game while they're doing it.
Sure.
More than any of the other stadiums for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
sense. But I feel like baseball lends itself to those fanatics who are like, I gotta see every stadium.
Sure.
I don't know, is that a thing in basketball and football?
Well, it's also every day. That's the other thing.
Yes.
It's the only real sport going in the summertime. Sure, there's MLS, but it's not every day.
Right.
So that's the thing with baseball. I mean, it's pastoral. I mean, its origins have to do with being in a park and having a picnic, hanging out.
Yep.
sitting up on a rooftop drinking $16 beers. You know what I mean? Like it's part of our nation's pastime.
I think you're exactly right.
That's it. In your book, Tragedy Plus Time, tragic comedy memoir, taking it to a not, we're not getting deep, but you talk about therapy, and I've started going to therapy like a year and a half or so ago. And it just seems very relevant with Daniel Bard, going on the IL for anxiety, talking about that.
Yeah.
Austin Gomber, who had another fantastic start on Sunday, and really he opened up saying, man, the stress of being a part of this Nolan Arenado
I
deal,
saw that. That was
living up to
so,
all that.
yeah, I love
a
that
lot.
baseball players are doing that. There's that guy I don't know the name of him. He's a Dodgers player, but I think he's like schizophrenic, and they've kept him on the roster so he has health
Andrew
insurance.
Tolles.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Especially, I think it's bleeding into every aspect of sportsdom where it's not, you shouldn't just be like, suck it up, like, you know what word I wanted to say. So I think that's amazing that people and athletes explore their mental health and talk about it honestly. I mean, the yips is such a funny word to be like, I think there's more going on than like, who's got the yips? Just like, let's explore this a little bit. So yeah, I'm glad people like Daniel Bard are open about this, and for sure.
And you're someone, and again, even just talking with you now, who leads by example in so many ways. And so again, talking about that, and that's allowed me to feel more comfortable to talk about like, oh yeah, I go to therapy too for like my anxiety, and it's helped me so much. And obviously we have a mental health crisis in our country right now. So a lot of times you have to lead by example.
For me, it's so like obvious, but you do forget that a lot of people are kind of really not comfortable with this. And so I think, if I'm doing that or whatever, but when Simone Biles was kind of like, I'm prioritizing mental health and not competing, you still saw half the country was like, what the hell are you doing? It's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're yelling at a 20-something best of all time athlete because they're prioritizing their mental health. Like, let's chill out a little bit. I think these are people as well. Yeah. And I think because they get paid these crazy salaries, you're just like, whatever, you just do it. You suck it up. And it's like, no. Everyone is a three-dimensional person with a lot going on. And it's just fine if people pause, focus on their brain, and continue to do that their whole life. So yeah, don't beat up on people for going to therapy. Yeah. If anything, it's just like, hey, way to be self-aware.
Right.
Like you're not walking around with a broken leg. Go check out if this isn't working right. Go work on that. Yeah,
you can see physical impairments, but you can't see that on the mental side. And I think because for so many people, sports is like an escape.
Right.
You're like, oh, if you're in that sport, if you're in that world, you have nothing to escape because you're that thing already. Yeah. It's like, well, no, again, three-dimensional person.
Right.
And they've got their own issues and their own troubles and their own in-laws and families and all that other stuff.
I think we are at a shifting point, though, but I think you're right. I think a lot of people are like, that's the thing I watch to turn off my brain. I've got a lot of problems. I don't want any of my problems bleeding into this thing I watch that I relax to. And it's a lot more going on than that. Like, I'm sorry, but these are real people. I don't care if they're getting $40 million a season. Like, they've got stuff going on as well. So deal with it.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see politics either.
100%. 100%. And it's just kind of like, sorry, man. It's going to bleed in everywhere.
Yeah. You fly in and out of DIA. We haven't talked about this on the show, but I was really excited because I kind of, you overhear things when you're in the clubhouse and stuff. And it was like, oh, Vinny Castilla is going to be the voice of DIA.
Yeah.
And so we had to sit on that. And so I think my parents were in the airport recently and they're like, oh yeah, I heard Vinny's name on the tram. So
sure.
I think that's fine. I think Kyle Freeland has done it before.
That's cool.
Bud Black, I think, was the voice.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that always, whenever I can see a show at ComedyWorks, you got a show coming up on May 10th.
You are seamless. You're so seamless doing that.
Whoever's coming into town, they always go, what's going on with the airport? And what are all these like images? And is there a bunker underneath?
Right,
it's that first improv. Hey, what's going on with this town? Like, our local
you got to
references.
riff local for the first couple of minutes. It's so funny. It's like, I've been here for an hour. Here's my snapshot on your city.
Yes.
It's always airport related because that's all I've seen. I loved Vinicio on the train. That ruled.
Yeah.
I think I tweeted, it's like, hey, can we get a Nugget or an Avalanche or a player in the playoffs right now? Like maybe Jokic should be doing that announcement. Yeah. But probably Jokic's like, I'm not doing that crap. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I'm focused. But Vinny, man, I love Vinny. I went to Oaxaca once when I was in my early 20s. And I just knew that he had played for the Oaxaca Guerreros. So I was like, I'm going to find an Oaxaca Guerreros jersey. And I'm like stumbling around Oaxaca. I speak Spanish, so I'm just like asking for sports stores or anything. And I'm just not finding it. And literally like I round this corner, because somebody's like, there's something like that this way. And I find this baseball store. And I was like, I'm from Denver. I love Vinny Castilla. This is all in Spanish. And the dude's like, what? And he's like, come here. And he's got like all these photos of Vinny playing down there and like his dad playing down there. And he was just touched that this guy, this white dude from Denver is like, I'm here. I want a Oaxaca Guerreros jersey. And I know of that team because of Vinny. So like when I heard Vinny on the train the other day, I was like, that's my boy. I've got a soft spot for.
Wow.
And I call him that because that guy was like, Vinicio. And I was like, yeah. Vinicio.
It's funny because I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
Vinny is the reason that my family got into Denver sports.
Yeah.
Which then bled into like Broncos, which then bled into the Nuggets with Eduardo Nájera.
Dude.
Which then bled into like the Avalanche a little bit more now with Matt Nieto.
Yeah.
So like that
I love
culture-
that.
Awesome.
That cultural thing, that it really does
It's
make
true.
an impact at the end of it.
I love that. And on that same exact trip, I was at some nightclub. We were 20-something idiots just partying the whole time. And I ran into a dude from Colombia. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. Where was Andres Galarraga from? He was from Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah, he was from Venezuela. And I was like, oh, like Andres Galarraga, the big cat, like Caracas and all this. And he was like, what? And he dragged me across the club and he made me tell his girlfriend what I just said to him. He's like, this guy's from Denver. He knows the big cat. And it was just, you're right. It's so much more going on than just like the team in your city when those guys are representing on television from those countries. You know? It's
and
cool.
Like, and that's kind of what's happening right now with Alan Trejo too, because he's Mexican.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
World Cup, like the World Series, like it really changed a lot.
For sure.
The perspective of a lot of Mexican players, and I know my grandparents are getting a little bit back into Rockies just because of Trejo.
That rules.
That
I
is
love
cool.
it.
Yeah, you could see Adam at the Oaxaca Funny Bone on June 18th. No.
Yeah.
Is there Funny Bone in Oaxaca? Not yet. I mean, there should be.
It's called Reír como nunca.
See, you're just showing off all your Spanish. I mean, you opened. Was it your first album? Didn't you open up in Spanish?
Yeah.
First track
I
on
think
your album?
so. Yeah, just to fuck around with the audience.
Just
not let them
flexing
know what's
there.
going on.
No, I do
What
love that.
show did I show up for?
Nuggets. I mean, still alive. Avs did get knocked out, so now there's the pressure on the Nuggets right now to deliver us another parade. If the Nuggets can deliver the parade this year, maybe the Rockies can deliver a parade in our lifetime.
Yeah, there you go. But you know what's funny? That joke used to be the reverse. The
right?
Nuggets were a punchline in this city for so long. It was the easy. I mean, they were the worst in the league forever.
And they got in the playoffs every year because there was 25 teams. in the
100%,
NBA.
yeah,
But
yeah.
still, it was different.
And
Yeah.
now the Nuggets are like, despite the lack of respect they're getting, a number one seed all season long. Like, so it is funny that the Rockies have done the full switch on that, and they're the punchline now.
It's true.
Yeah, man.
It's true. There's nothing funny about Breck Brew Avalanche Ale. They are the classic American amber that blends.
I am so impressed. I'm just
Kale-
watching a clinic happen.
We should get you one. If do you want an Avalanche Ale, we can see if we can get one going.
Absolutely.
Do we have a super producer that could?
Oh, you mean right?
possibly-
You mean right now? No.
Yes. Okay.
No, I'm good. No. I just thought you meant like you want me to do the ad read or something. I was like, I've got it.
It's
But
1:34 p.m. somewhere right here, Adam. Come on.
I got an important call at 4. I shouldn't be drunk.
Yeah. Look, if you go to breckbrew.com,
You said shouldn't, not couldn't.
That's
the
right.
difference.
Maybe I just take a whole new approach on this call. You know what? I've got a few ideas.
that's it. Well, you look if you're not sure where you can get it, and it's not in your refrigerator. Breck Brew for the Breck Brew locator. Head over there, breckbrew.com.
I'm so glad you said that because when I go to my refrigerator and there's no Breck beer, I'm so confused and irate. I punch the wall and I'm like, where do I get Breck beer? But now I know you go to the source, and it was right there the whole time.
And the boys, I mean, you know what? They get into things all the time. You go, guys, come on. Guys, you do that and you put your hands on your hips and you're like, oh, and then you just laugh to yourself.
Well,
right?
we actually have a button that I hit. It goes, wah, 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 and then this really wholesome music plays like the end of Full House, and I deliver a lesson to the boys
Filmed in front of a live studio audience.
about alcoholism and rage.
Did you think about that for those who can? Again, another plug, 3 seasons on TruTV.
Sure.
You don't want to do no one really does filmed in front of a studio audience, just like ABC shows, I feel like now.
Yeah, we actually joked about that. It'd be really fun, unexplained, to just do one. And you have like a 12
Ooh,
episode
yeah.
season, and like all of them are filmed. Like most of the shows, like, you know, that there's no studio audience. It's single cam versus multicam, they call it. But just have one multicam with an audience. And you're like, what? And don't tell the listener or the viewer what's happening. Just have one that was a, you know, 80s sitcom, Those Who Can't. I would love to do something like that. It'd be so funny.
Rory Scovel, every one of his lines would be one of those things.
Oh,
I mean,
Rory
he
would turn
delivers
and
it
look at the camera.
unironically, like,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I think we did one. It was the Christmas special, and there was a line, we called it a holiday coincidence, because we didn't want to say Christmas miracle. So at the end of the camera, or end of the show, Rory turns and stares down the barrel and goes, "What a holiday coincidence." And I just always love this. So peeling back that fourth wall. And
He's legitimately one of my top 3 favorite comedians.
I think Rory's a genius. Like, I'm lucky
Yes.
to be friends with that dude. I love, he makes me laugh harder than anybody. And yeah, if you don't know Rory Scovel, follow him. He's touring all over. I think he's here in October at the Boulder Theater.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
And he's one of the best. So free and effortless, and just a really good dude.
Fearless. That's it. He
100%.
just performs. I saw him at ComedyWorks, where you'll be May 10th.
That's
coming
right.
Up next Wednesday.
It's still available, but they're moving fast.
They are. And there's no Rockies game that night.
No
So
Rockies game and no Nuggets game.
That's it.
Yeah.
And no Avs.
And no
No Broncos.
There's nothing to do but come to downtown and sit in the basement and watch me. There's nothing else going on.
I'm going to be emailing every single person who follows this podcast
Yep.
and watches the live show and say,
Yep.
what's your excuse? Because you need to get there.
Well, and then you're going to give me that list of names, and I will be at the door checking it in. And if you're not there, if I don't cross you off, guess what? You'll be getting some more emails from me, and they're not going to be as pleasant as the first ones.
Oof. Yeah. And you're going to send it from your iPad because you're mad.
Drunk on Breckenridge beer.
Yes, absolutely. but Rory, during the check spot, which for anyone that doesn't know, people are paying their checks, their plates and their glasses are being taken, so you're not paying attention. And no one was paying attention. I was. And he just riffed about a cockroach in his bathroom. And it was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It was like he was only performing for me, because I'm just looking around.
Is
and
anyone
everyone's
catching
like,
this?
oh, did you want, no, give me 15, Venmo me. And I'm like, he's just eating time, but it's still hilarious. It was still genius.
It's always the worst part of any show. I don't know why. Some clubs I'll go to and they do it after the show, and I'm like, cool. But like, it's literally like you've worked for 38 minutes. You're going to crescendo at 45. You're building to something, and they're like, sorry, we need these people to do math in the dark.
clink, 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 clink,
Yeah,
clink.
yeah. You're just like, it sucks. But it is what it is. Part of the racket. Part of my art.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about any kind of inconvenience or being distracted when you pay for your bill over at Illegal Pete's, which is amazing for graduation season. Because look, you don't want to cook for your entire family. You get it catered, burritos, beers, buddies, Illegal Pete's.
Now here's where I get serious.
Yes.
Illegal Pete's
Let's.
not only sponsors my Grawlix monthly show, which is
Yeah.
taking place at the Bug Theater next May 29th. I don't remember the date. 27th, last Saturday of every month. TheGrawlix.com. Illegal Pete's also sponsors the High Plains Comedy Festival, and has from the jump. I'm dear friends with Pete Turner. When I started the High Plains Comedy Festival 10 years ago, I went to Pete and I said, could I have $5,000? I think I could do a comedy festival. And he's like, hell yeah, I'm the title sponsor. And we've been like good friends since. I love Pete Turner. I love how they support artists. I like how they support Denver. I like how they're sustainable. This is not even an ad read. Illegal Pete's we're lucky to have such a cool company around here.
You think you're buying a burrito? You're buying freedom.
You're buying. That's because there's guns in their burritos, and that is freedom.
That's it. That is it. Yeah, no. Mateo Lane in September. It's a shame you couldn't get someone, a little bit more attractive, but a classic slovenly dressed, just kind of
disgusting Mateo Lane.
just gross, probably very smelly.
Yeah,
Mateo
I
Lane.
mean, listen, if you just look at the ground and listen to him, he's very funny, but he's just hell on the eyes.
he's great.
Yeah, he's a monster, and he's sold out. He's added a second show. He sold out that first one very quick.
Yeah.
Mateo Lane is a beast. He's such a good comedian. Just a classically trained New York comedian.
Yeah,
he's great.
Right. Talented. He's like a good artist. Like he can draw freehand and he can sing. He can do like Mariah Carey
He's
impersonations.
a 5-tool athlete. He's got a number of abilities that your average comedian does not, and he's headlining the High Plains Comedy Festival.
Dare I say 5-tool laugh-leat.
No, don't do that.
We'll
edit that out in
dare.
post.
I wouldn't dare.
I know this is live, but we will fix that in post.
Denver stand-up comedy scene. A lot of folks coming from here. The most notable names, at least from recent memory: Josh Blue, T.J. Miller, Dan Soder, yourself, the rest of the Grawlix guys, Ben Roy.
You don't
Andrew
need to name
Orvidal.
them. I'm the guy.
You're the guy.
It's a trio, but there's like one star.
I mean,
and
who's
it's
on the
me.
marquee for May 10th at ComedyWorks?
Not Ben Roy, not Andrew Orvidal. It's Adam Cayton-Holland. Those
right.
guys are holding me back.
Could be.
Yeah.
No,
Should
they
I-
definitely are.
should
You
I
would have had
drop 'em?
5 seasons if you kind of just made it a one-man.
That's what the president of the
show.
network told me when he canceled us to my face. He's like, had you ditched Ben and Andrew, this
John-
would be going 5 seasons.
John Franklin True. of
John
TruTV.
True himself.
Wow.
So, yeah, junior. He's a junior. His father was a iron magnet.
Iron. That's it. Just iron.
Yeah.
That's it.
He discovered iron.
That's pretty good.
That's a lot of money in that.
ComedyWorks is just, on any given night, you should just go down there. I mean, again,
No, go there May 10th. Everyone else is dog
no,
shit.
yeah.
I'm there May 10th. Yeah. Someone else is there other nights. It's a great club, but May 10th is the night.
that's it. I mean, I heard like on a May 11th and after, there's some good nights.
There might be shows. I don't know. I haven't
Until
checked. I haven't
then,
checked
not so
the
much.
calendar. There might be shows going on. I don't know, but I
can't
know
be
it's
sure.
happening May 10th.
Yeah, there's a link in our description, podcast, as well as here live on YouTube on the DNVR Sports channel. Click that link and get High Plains Comedy Festival tickets, the May 10th show at ComedyWorks, which is legitimately one of the best stand-up comedy venues in the country, which might not mean anything to people that are going to a show, but you get a better performance from a comedian when they're like, oh no, this place knows what to do. No one's going to be heckling me. They'll get rid of any kind of riffraff. It's a good setup. It's not weird where you got to crane your neck or the stage is too small.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Truly, so many comedians when they learn I'm from Denver, they're like, "Oh, buddy, your home club is ComedyWorks. You're so lucky. That is the best club in the country." And it really is. I feel like if it were a music venue, you'd flock to it like it was, CBGB or something like that. It's like a destination comedy spot, and Denver's lucky to have it. I'm so lucky to call it my home club. It's incredible. Despite the jokes I was making before about the dog shit comedians besides myself, it's like everyone's falling over themselves to get into this club. It's we're lucky to have it.
Yeah, it's amazing. We were talking before we started recording that, when you think of stand-up comedy, it's like New York, LA, then Chicago's like, Triple-A, quadruple A almost. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
But Denver has become one of those places now where you can stay here and have a career. I mean, you've done that again, having so much national success from right here in Denver. You put your money where your mouth is.
Well, thank you. And Wendy and ComedyWorks is a huge part of that. But it's also kind of cool to see there's this just like independent comedy show renaissance going on. There's so many comedians running shows and cool breweries putting on shows. And I mean, Denver is a very healthy comedy scene. And I'm the old guy suddenly. It's like I'm 42, and these people will invite me to come headline their shows, and I'll come in and I'm like, I don't know that person, and they're great. And I can remember when I was younger coming up, it's like you knew the 8 funny people in town, and now there's just 150 funny people doing it constantly. So Denver's a really good place to be if you're into comedy. And if you live here and you've not explored the Denver comedy scene, like get out there. There's so many shows. Obviously come to our stuff, but like there's such good comedy going on in this town.
May 10th is when the comedy
There's
season
one
starts.
show in this town. There's
Yeah.
one show. It's May 10th.
In comedy, it's called Opening Night, and it's May 10th this year.
There's a new club called ComedyWorks. It's opening up on May 10th with me, and it's closing on May 10th with me. We're shutting it down. Yeah.
And the Denver comedy scene also like bleeds out a little bit too, because Fort Comedy up in Fort Collins is a spot. Boulder has, Boulder Bohemian Beer Garden, which I don't think it's there anymore. There's
No,
all
they
these
moved it
little
over.
shows,
That's the
right?
Boulder Comedy Show.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the new spot, but it's a great show every Sunday night in Boulder.
Yeah.
And the Comedy Fort in Fort Collins, man, that's a jewel. And David Rodriguez, who's a very funny comedian, opened that up. So it's a comedian-run club. It's a healthy, the comedy scene on the Front Range is very healthy, except for even Colorado Springs got cool stuff going on. It's really popping up. It's really going well.
I think you have a show at the Comedy Fort in June.
July.
I remember. July?
You really
July
looked at that calendar.
6th?
6. How do you remember this shit? I don't remember this
I
shit.
don't know. The key is you just don't forget it.
That's
That's
the key
it.
to remembering
That's-
things.
now
like
I'm
where
pretty
the
good.
Breckenridge beer is when it's not in your fridge.
Yeah,
it's at Breckenridge Brewery.
You need a Breck brew locator in your brain.
Yeah,
You
instead I just got holes in the wall from my fists and terrified children.
That's it.
That's some truth.
Who root for the Rockies?
Yeah.
We got even darker.
Yeah.
On that note, I do want to ask, and this is where
I'm sorry. Next, no.
No, we're not gonna
Not
talk about
to that one.
birding.
No, I didn't know what it was. I just thought it'd be funny to stop you.
I need to talk about birding. I'm into birding too. I'm a huge birder.
Okay. Fuck the Rockies. Fuck comedy. This is a new birding podcast. Let us talk. This is fantastic. You're actually a birder?
Yes.
Hell
yes.
yeah.
So my father-in-law, he was a kid growing up in and around Princeton, New Jersey. That's where I'm from. And like there was some Princeton professor that took him under his wing. I wrote that.
Yes.
Got it. Landed. Stuck the landing.
Put in a ooga in post on this live podcast.
That's it. Live studio audience also sitting back there. Thank you guys all for coming out. Seriously. But yeah, so he learned it and then kind of passed it down to his daughter. And then every time he would like kind of flex on me when I was, dating my wife. He'd be like, do you know what that is? And I'm like, I don't know. And, oh, well, that's a cardinal. And then I'd nail it down. And what's that? That's a cardinal. I'm like, no, it's not red. And you're like, well, the lady cardinal is more muted. That's actually kind of like one of my favorite birds, the lady cardinal.
Lady cardinal?
Yeah. And we don't have them out here in Colorado.
We do not have them out here.
It's the only thing that I almost missed from the East Coast.
Yeah, East Coast has phenomenal birds. Yeah. You might even say better birds, but I don't know. The cardinal, all the baseball birds are on the East Coast. You don't get many Orioles out here. You don't get, I guess there are Blue Jays out here. But
Bullocks, Orioles.
Bullocks, Orioles are out here.
Come on now.
Yeah, no, I love it. I don't know what happened. I got into it like 15 years ago. Just a light turned on. I was like, birds are amazing.
Yeah.
Ever since then, I've just been obsessed. And now it's like, it's reached a weird point. For example, my wife and I have started doing Neighborhood Bird of the Week.
Ooh.
This is what's become of me.
this?
I used to be cool. I used to be like a hip dude. People thought I was just like Adam Cayton-Holland's edgy. Now, every Sunday night, I sit with my wife. We print out, we have a template, so we'll move a new photo of a bird that you might see in the neighborhood. Put a photo, put some facts on it, say what it is, hang it out on a tree outside our house, Neighborhood Bird of the Week. We're educating all the kids in our neighborhood about birds, and it's cool. We watch people walking their dogs. They stop, they read about the Bird of the Week. I've been having a little fun. I just hide one fact in there that's completely fake that I make up every time. For example, this week we're doing a red-winged blackbird. It's a bird of the week. Classic. We've got lists of, you can see them in City Park, and here's what it sounds like, and here's what the female looks like. And then one I put... great at Super Nintendo, terrible at Sega Genesis. And I don't know if that's not true. I've never seen a red-winged blackbird try it, but
I can't disprove you.
They're little fun Easter eggs. This is where I've gotten as a 42-year-old guy.
So it now sounds like you've pivoted from watching the birds to now watching people stop in front of your home.
I'm watching people. Yes, my new kink is watching people learn about birds in front of my house.
Yeah, just watch people go.
As I'm just leering out the window, thirsty for Breckenridge beer.
I got 3 eyebrow raises. I got one person who just kind of shrugged and walked away. Jerk.
But you know what's funny? If somebody, when people just kind of look at it and just keep walking, I'm like, you fucking asshole. Like, you're not curious about the world at all. You're just in your little, just stay on your business call, you prick.
The first time I ever identified a red-winged blackbird, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a dying bird because it was on the ground in a parking lot and all you could see was the little red epaulet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh dear God, this wing has been ripped off of this bird. And then it got up and flew away. I was like, oh, I saw some yellow too.
Right.
Contacted the father-in-law. He's like, it's just a red-winged blackbird.
For those for the listeners, they've got these beautiful red wings like on their shoulders, almost like a uniform.
Like
These
epaulets,
epaulet, exactly. And then a little bit of yellow underneath there. And then other than that, completely black. Very cool bird.
And some that are like orange.
In fact, the bird of the week.
Oh, that's how good of a bird it is. We actually, our Adam Mares is also into birds.
Okay.
And so we kind of go back and forth and talking. And again, on your last album, dropped in 2020, Semblance of Normalcy.
Yeah.
Right? You talk about one of these excursions. What were you going to look for the sandhill crane?
I don't remember that joke. So tell me what it is.
Well, first off, it won me over because talked about like trying to get into birds and you're like, oh, you confused a grackle with a red-winged blackbird. And I'm like, damn it, they do look a little bit alike. And if you're new, you don't know that. And the audience was like good, but they were like waiting. I'm like, no, that's for birders. That's just right.
Well, you got to sprinkle some in there. It's like 5% of the audience will get this joke, but don't worry, keep coming. I'll give you a joke that everyone will get.
Fleas. Adam had him.
Oh, yes. I remember that joke.
Yes.
That was not Sandhill Crane. That was going out to the Eastern Plains looking for raptors with a group with a group out of the Museum of Nature and Science.
Did you see any burrowing owls out there? I've never seen one.
That's so funny. I have never seen a burrowing owl.
Whoa.
I really want to. I have a friend who I bird with all the time, and he and I have just like first one to see a burrowing owl wins. Have you seen one?
Never. No.
Yeah, exactly. These are owls that live underground. They live in prairie dog colonies all around there. And so they're just little scurrying, long-legged owls that live under the ground, and they're all over Colorado. Any prairie dog colony, if you're there, keep your eye out. Maybe you'll see one, but I've never seen one. And I'm such a bird nerd. I've got old men who I'm friends with who lead bird tours, who know their shit, and they'll be like, I saw a burrowing owl at Cherry Creek State Park at this entrance the other day, and I'll go, and I have still never seen one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Maybe together we can see it sometime if we ever birds.
Someday we will do that. Yeah. No, I love it. Growing up on like the Jersey Shore, never saw a pelican. They're in Colorado. Like,
I know that really messes people up.
Yeah, they don't. They're like, no. I mean, it's probably just a big seagull, right? Like, no. I mean, even a seagull, you go, well, that doesn't really make sense either.
Yeah.
But yeah, American white pelicans are just gorgeous.
I saw one in City Park yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. I think birds just go where there's food. Period. Yeah. So like, if they can find food out here, they'll be here. Ditto. So I mean, yeah, there are pelicans in Colorado. Everybody.
Do you have a favorite bird? Whether you've seen it or not, but you're just like, this is kind of my bird. It's my spirit bird.
It just changes all the time. But I think the bird that got me into birds was this bird called the ivory-billed woodpecker, which is extinct. But there was a big it's like the Sasquatch of birds.
How hipster of you.
You probably haven't heard of it.
Mine's the blue-footed booby, so whatever.
Blue-footed booby's your favorite? Why? No, red-footed booby.
I'm just trying to be hip.
Red-footed booby. You got red feet, you got a blue beak. It's more booby for your buck. A blue-footed booby. Come on.
No, I like a puffin, actually.
Puffins are great. The ivory-billed woodpecker, there's a great book if you're any birders out there. Like half your audience is just slamming their computers shut. Ivory-billed woodpecker was the largest woodpecker ever. Big red head, and the pileated woodpecker kind of looks like them. These ones were bigger, so they thought it was extinct in like 2013. A guy who was a Cornell professor of ornithology claims to have rediscovered it, and he didn't get good video, but he got good sound and all these other bird nerd things. And so it's literally like a divisive thing. There are people out there who, like me, like myself, who think they're out there. And they exist, but like we just haven't gotten conclusive proof. There's some who are like they're extinct, but they're all in the swamps of Arkansas and Louisiana, really hard to get to areas. But you talk to, in these books, they'll talk to backwoods people who are like, oh yeah, I've seen one, and so it's a really kind of Sasquatch type of bird. Like, is it extinct or is it not extinct? And that I read that dude's book, I was like, well, that's fascinating. And then ever since I've been a birder.
Wow, yeah,
I have an ivory-billed woodpecker tattoo on my back.
You do?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, that respect to that.
Thank you.
I will. Yeah, no, pileated woodpecker. I popped the first time I saw one.
They're amazing. Like, you see those, and you're like, holy shit, what a bird! Ivory-billed woodpecker, bigger than them.
Yeah.
And similar looking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bird talk.
Real talk. Bird talk.
Getting serious.
Yeah. That's a new DNVR pod. Real talk. Bird talk. It's a sport. We can make it a sport.
DNVR birds. BRDS. Like, why not? We'll do that.
I'm available.
It'll be cool. We'll have to get a branded sponsor for our binoculars, our binos. That's what we call them.
Or I call them binocs. Orvis or Swarovski, like the crystal people. Ooh. That'd be a good sponsor.
There you go.
Those are great binocs.
We'll teach you all about jizz, which I didn't know about. You taught me about jizz.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Don't get no context. Don't tell your listener what it is. Just I taught him about jizz, and that's that.
Adam Cayton-Holland, jizz. Do a Google search, and you'll learn about that.
Yeah.
And peckers. You'll learn a lot about peckers.
And also, there's a little available on sale on eBay. So there's 2 findings in that search.
Okay. Excellent. And this is all above board. We don't have to put an expletive because what we're saying is legit on the up and up.
Yep, exactly.
High Plains Festival, September 21st through 22nd. I think the Rockies are on the road for that as well.
Okay.
And May 10th, man, ComedyWorks. That's going to be the spot. You got some local guys opening up that crush.
Yes.
That are fantastic.
Ben Bryant, Elon Stribling, Salma Zaki, all very funny. I like to kind of, at my ComedyWorks shows, ComedyWorks is so fun to headline. This is when I just like let it all hang out, try out new stuff. It's just my home club. And so anytime I get a headlining date there, I just have a ball. And I try to put on locals who you should know about, who may not be regulars on that stage yet or are getting spots on the weekend occasionally, but I try to showcase people I think are very funny. And those 3 are examples of that for sure.
That's the best part too for anyone like watching this. You're a baseball fan, but you probably like prospects. That's what I love too. It's like listening to comedy shows, like who's like the up and comer, where Stavros is obviously blowing up huge, but 2 years ago, you might not have heard of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, learn about these guys now. They're right in our backyard. They're opening for you on May 10th at ComedyWorks Downtown.
And I'm a comedy fan as well, so it's like fun for me to watch these people and just be like, oh, I love seeing people discover new comedians and see how funny they are. So yeah.
Discover Adam Cayton-Holland at Cayton-Holland on Twitter and AdamCayton-Holland.com too.
That's right. And I should plug my podcast, The Grawlix Saves the World, it's me and two dead weights named Ben Roy and Andrew Orvidal. But somehow the podcast is really funny and it's blowing up. It's growing and growing and growing. We're having a lot of fun. It's basically like self-help challenges competitively done against one another to try to win each episode. And it's a lot of fun.
Comedians on, River Butcher.
We always have comedians on there.
Fantastic one.
We've had
recently.
aforementioned Rory Scovel on there and Kyle Kinane and all our buddies. It's a fun pod.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Get all that content. But May 10th, hit the link in our description to get tickets. You'll see me there. You probably see Adam there. He's going to be checking that email list. So again, he's holding you accountable.
And may I kind of say one last thing? I love the Rockies. They will always be my team. But because I love them, I'm this cruel and I'm this honest. And I think as fans, you need to be as well. And if you can do that with your dollar, then do it. Go to a few games if you need to show your kiddos baseball, but like we got to demand better. And until we hit this dude's pocket, he's not going to change a thing.
It's true. He doesn't own ComedyWorks. So shift that money over, not just May 10th, but everything after that. It's opening night. It's the start of the comedy season.
There's going to be a real comedy season starts May 10th.
Playoffs start September 21st through 23rd for the High Plains Comedy Festival.
That's right.
Mateo Lane will be starting it. So you want a postseason stand-up there for that.
Absolutely.
So you're going deep in the postseason.
Oh, we're going all the way this year.
Comedy playoffs. Let's go. Let's go. You are a wild card. But again, AdamCayton-Holland.com, at Cayton-Holland on Twitter. May 10th, get those tickets at DNVR_Rockies, at Patrick D. Lyons is where I'm at on Twitter. We have a saying around here because, you can build momentum in a singular show, in a singular baseball podcast, but unfortunately, you're only as good as your next podcast. So we will talk to you on Wednesday, back with Susie at 1 p.m. here on the DNVR Sports channel on YouTube.